Are we work? Is this, we're live? All right, cool. Welcome to the third live stream here from CyrCraft Customs, where we make LED Cyr wheels. And today we're going to continue what we've been doing the past few live streams. I'll give a little bit of rundown of what we've done in past streams. Essentially, we've walked through our desktop app here, which I'm going to show you in a second. Let me see if I can figure out how to switch screens. There we go. So yeah, on our last couple of live streams, we showed how the this pattern editor tool works, kind of like this. This lets you set up patterns and sequences and do things with them and fix glitches in your images like that, where you want it to make sure it's going to display right on your wheel before you actually load it onto your wheel, and sync it to music and change all the settings and all that fun stuff. Today we're going to get a little bit more into some of... So in the past couple videos, we've talked about the basics of how to use this app and how to use existing patterns and change settings and get different effects out of the same patterns within this desktop software. Today we're going to back it up a little bit further and go into more detail about some things that you want to think about when you are creating your own custom patterns, whether that's like images or logos or text or just any type of idea you have for something that you want the wheel to do. We're going to just talk about how to kind of wrap your brain around the basics of that. So you can use essentially any... let me pause this because that's a little distracting. Okay, so you can use essentially any photo or image editing software to create your patterns. You don't really ever have to care about the, at least if you're going to use our desktop app afterward, you can change the size of the image, you can change the proportions of the image. You never really have to think about that too much. Within reason. You just need to get your original image kind of close, and then you can fine-tune it within Star Pusher. But before I get myself too crazy talking through all of that, I'm going to open up, this is called paint.net. It works just like Photoshop or like the GIMP, has different features, different UI, etc. Yeah, we're going to open this up and we're going to design a pattern. So as soon as we open it, you can see there's a white square there. So technically we already have a pattern. We could load this onto the wheel and the wheel would just show white. And for a little bit of background on how that works, if I can get back to the right screen here. All right, so a little bit of background on that works. If we go to the pattern visualizer, I've got an image here. I don't think I have an all white or an all black image, but say I've got this green image. At the top of the image, it's all bright green. The bottom of the image, it is black. And essentially, you can see on the wheel here, it's what the wheel is doing is it's essentially scanning through this 2D image, one row of pixels at a time, and it's playing them at a certain frame rate. It's set to 80 frames per second right now, and it's going to look exactly like this once you load this pattern on the wheel. And then we can get a little bit fancier. We can create an image that has a gradient that fades from white to pink and then back from pink to white. And now we have our wheel pulsing back and forth between pink and white. And if you want to change the speed on this, you can just shorten the height of the image so that it plays through that faster. Kind of like that. So let's create something like this and see what effect it makes on the wheel. So I'm in here on paint.net, and let's do something just real quick and ugly, and it'll show a few things not to do when you are creating these patterns. What do I want? Paintbrush. Let's choose a nice bright color. brush width, I don't know, 10. There we go. Now that is artistic, isn't it? So let's see what that's going to do. This is going to be ugly, and it'll be a learning experience, but let's see what it does. I'm going to save this. I guess we'll save it as a PNG image. Actually, where do we want? We want to save this in a folder that's going to get us right back to where we want to be. I'm going to save it here. Okay, so actually, no, I'll throw this in this folder. I'm going to call this ugly pink line and save it there. If you're saving as a PNG or a JPEG or a bitmap, anything, it's going to kind of bring up this dialog, and it's going to ask you your bit depth and all of that. You don't really have to worry about this, and in fact, I'm going to set it wrong. I'm going to set it to 32-bit. Star Pusher is going to take the image and it's going to convert it to the format that the wheel needs. So I'm going to take this just as is with the defaults and save it. So now if we go into Star Pusher and I refresh this folder, we're going to see an image called Ugly Pink Line, and there we go. This is what our ugly pink line image does. So essentially, oh, you know what, my face is in the way, isn't it? Sorry about that. Okay, so over here on the lower right-hand side, you can see the image, and actually you can see the image is also stretched because our settings up here in Star Pusher have modified the original image dimensions. I don't know, let's put it to like 400, 300 by 400. I don't remember what the original dimensions of this image were, but now you can see we're changing the size of the image, and we can see there's some weird things. If we wanted to have a little, I don't know, let's call it a comet that spins and orbits the wheel. If we wanted to have that be something that looks good and doesn't have this weird kind of glitchy jump right at the end, then we probably would not want to do what it's doing right now. And so there's some weird stuff going on right now, because if you look at the image, we have like one little pink line there in our image, but we're actually seeing two over here, and that's because this is not sized to the same width of the wheel. So if I turn on our duplication points here, you can see that, well, actually, let me show line view. Okay, so in line view, you see those two little green lines. That's actually showing how wide the image is, which is 300 pixels wide, and we have 325 pixels in our LED strip that this is going to be displayed on. So what it's doing is it's just repeating the beginning of that image over again. So if I change this to 325, it's going to map appropriately, and we won't see any duplication. But now we still have this like little blank spot. If I go back to wheel view, where the image ends right down here, it kind of goes blank for a second, and our comet goes away. We don't want that, so that's something not to do. You got to think about the contingency, or the I don't know, how symmetrical. There's probably a better word for it, but essentially the image has to be able to like tile to itself so that what's on the right edge kind of matches up with what's on the left edge. And so let's jump back over to paint.net and fix that. I'm going to just hit undo here, and what I'm going to do is now for this, in order to fix this, I'm going to make sure it starts in a corner and ends in a corner, and that should look a little bit better. Let's see, how's that gonna do? I think that's what we want. I'm gonna do a save as. I'm gonna call it Better Pink Line. Save that. Okay, whatever. And let's load Better Pink Line. And now, as it comes around, we'll see that it is almost perfect. there's still a little bit of a glitch there. So why is that? Well, one thing to think about is even though I got it like right to the corner, there, if we zoom in on this image, let's see. All right, so I started like right in the corner. So it's starting this top row with not the full width of our pink line thing there. So I could fill that in a little bit more, maybe grab my eraser. Oops, should have done this in a different layer. All right, nope. All right, let's have it start right like that. And then where it ends, let me zoom out. All right, so where it ends on the bottom here, and zoom back in, I want it to actually do something a bit different as well here. I want it to, and if you're paying attention, you might notice something about what I'm doing here. All right, so is this going to give us the effect that we want? Let's take a look. Let's save this as better pink line, I guess. Save that. Yeah, okay. Bring it in here, refresh this, and load our betterer pink line. All right, so now, if you caught what I did, it is even worse now because when we are at the top of the image, we have like this, the first like few pixels of our image. If we look at our line view, it's a little easier to see. When we're at that top of the image, we got like a couple little, a few LEDs lit all at once. Let me pause this and hold it right there. If you scroll over here, you can see it'll tell you what LED number you're on. So we've got like the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 LEDs all lit up in the beginning of this. And then when we go to the end of the image where it's supposed to kind of wrap around and blend seamlessly into the other side, we've got 0 LEDs here, which is good, but it's still not quite what we want. So in order to fix this, I've got to take it a little bit further, and I've got to make sure that our image starts out with only like a little bit of pink in that top corner. So let's get back over there, and let me redo this one more time. And this is going to be ugly. That's why we named the image ugly. But yeah, we want it to maybe go like this so that our line kind of fades in. All right, so now we've got our least ugly pink line. Let's save this. Come back over here, refresh this, drag in our least ugly pink line, and there we go. We can see that it updated up there. So now, I think we'll press play and see how it looks. Let's go back to wheel view so that we can see how this strip wraps around. And now it should be a lot smoother. It might not be perfect yet, but it should be a lot smoother up at that top. And oh, did I tell you the wrong? I totally told you the wrong thing. See, I'm catching myself here. I'm making my own mistakes here as I'm trying to walk through this because it's more fun that way. Let's say that I'm doing it for that reason. Okay, so let's go back to this over here, and let's fix that once and for all. This is the final piece that we need in order to make this work. We want it to fade out completely from the left side of the image once it gets down there. And we're going to have it do that. So now, as it finishes and scanning the last few lines of this image, the what am I trying to say here? Yeah, let's see what it looks like. I've lost my words now. Let's see, Control Shift Save. Least ugly pink line. Let's just call it an OK pink line now. I'm gonna hit OK there, and let's see what that does for us. Where's our OK pink line? Does that have everything we need? I think it should. Okay. Right. So I'm going to add one more thing to this, and anybody watching this at this point might be screaming at me because I completely even forgot this part myself. But let's jump back here one more time and see what we're missing. What we're missing is actually we need this side to kind of be fading in as the other side is fading out. So I think what we're missing is actually like a little kind of dash in that corner there. And that should give us what we need. So so it's always, there's always like a bit of pink present on the wheel. So Control Shift Save that, yes, okay, and did I save that to the right name? No, I didn't even save that to the right name, did I? And I highly recommend when you have many versions of a file like this to name it things like OK pink line again or OK pink line final. Okay, so now when we scrub through this, we should see, there we go. That's exactly what we're looking for. We want the pink line to never disappear. So in order to have that line be like really nice and contiguous across the whole length of the image, we needed to add that little blip in the corner up there so that it fills in the last edge as it's fading out from one side of the image and starting on the other side. We have to, that's like the little tail leaving this side of LED 325 in this wheel before it comes back to LED 1. All right, so yeah, I did a good job of showing some mistakes. Let's actually make this a little bit more interesting. What if we want this to be like a lightning bolt kind of effect? So I'm gonna zoom in here and let's have some like little, I don't know, tendrils coming off of this at various points. Let's see what this does. This should be a little bit interesting. Right, and then we'll, maybe we'll feather these in a little bit. Something like that. All right, we'll call that pink lightning. Save that. Okay. Come over here. Refresh that. Drop this on here. What's this going to do? So we can see it kind of branching off and splitting off, kind of like electric. There's a little interesting things coming off of the image there. So yeah, we made a thing. Now, another thing to think about when you're making a graphic like this that you want the wheel to display is just how it's going to look, what might be easier to see or not. Now, I started with the kind of blank white background. That's not such a great idea. If you got a blank white background, then you're gonna have a lot of white light coming off the wheel, and it won't be as easy to see this the rest of this pattern. So a lot of times it's better to use a dark background. Actually, in most situations, you're going to want to use a dark background. So let's, I don't know, let's just resave that, go back here, reload it, and actually I need to change the name, don't I? We'll call it pink on black lightning. Save that. Okay. And it's not what I meant to do. Here we go. There we go. So that is going to look a lot cooler displayed on the wheel, and we'll actually go and we will see what this looks like. Some other things that you might want to do with a pattern like this is play around with some of these settings. I kind of like this way this looks on its own. However, I wonder what it would look like if it was maybe smaller. And since we have that black background, I could actually make this like half the size of the wheel, or half-ish the size of the wheel. So I can make this, I don't know, 162. And now it's going to be duplicating around the wheel twice. We can see the duplication points here. And actually, for this one, the black doesn't really matter. If the black is helpful, the black background is helpful when you don't want to duplicate a pattern, and then maybe you want to apply a motion reactive mode to it, so you can have the pattern kind of react, like the position of these comments could react to how you're moving the wheel around, and you can make the image as skinny as you want then. And if you have a black background on the image, then basically you won't see that the image is only taking up like a certain percentage of the wheel or a certain portion of the wheel. So what else do we want to show with this? I'm going to call that good for this first kind of segment. And then from here, let's go into talking about text and logos and actual images that you want to get persistence of vision effects with your wheel. So let's take a look at that. We'll go back into here, and maybe we'll start with a new thing. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is give myself a black background, and I'm going to then draw onto another layer so I can move stuff around easily. And we'll do a text layer, and put white text. We'll make that say it's CyrCraft Customs. And we want it bigger. So here's the part where we get into thinking about how we're going to size text and have text display on the wheel in a readable way. And so there's two things to think about here. One is going to be basically how big is the text going to be? How much of your wheel, I don't know, real estate do you want to display it on? If I have an image or a word that I want to be readable across my wheel, and if I have that wrapping all the way around the wheel, it's not going to look that great because you can only see one part of the wheel at one time, and one part of the wheel is going to be reading it forwards, and then as it wraps around, the other part of the wheel is going to be reading it backwards. So we can generalize. Generally, I'll recommend to keep things at no more than about a third of the wheel. Sometimes you can get away with like a half of the wheel, depending on what the thing is. But especially if it's an image, you want to see the entire image, or text that you want to see the entire text, you want to keep it to less than half of the wheel. And there's a couple reasons for that. If you keep it around a third of the wheel, you have a lot better chance of the entire thing being in view of the audience. If you've got it covering half the wheel, then it might, depending on the orientation of the wheel, how you're spinning at the moment, it might be showing, say the audience is, I don't know, on the left of the wheel, or on the right-hand side of the wheel over here, and the pattern is displaying from the 9 o'clock position here to the 3 o'clock position here. It's not going to be readable to them. They're only going to be able to see roughly from here to here of the pattern. So if it's around a third, that's big enough where you can make a big impression with it, and you can definitely go smaller than a third. But if it's around a third, it's big enough where you can have things written out big and have a good chance of people being able to read the whole thing as the wheel's spinning in one pass. So with that said, I definitely want to make this text bigger here. Let's go up to 48, maybe a little bit bigger, up to 72, and that's good. And I'm going to change my canvas size here. The width is fine here. Actually, the width is not fine here. We're going to want to go a bit wider. Or just shrink the text down to it until it's. So this text is now less than half. It's not quite a third, but I think that's good. I want to change the canvas size here. I'm going to anchor in the center. I'm going to cut the height down from 600. I only think I want it like 150. So that's pretty good. And one of the things I'm thinking about as I'm doing this is how the spacing from one instance of the name or the text here looks from top to bottom. And this actually seems pretty fine. So I think we're going to use this one here. I think that this is, I think this will work fine. And let's export this to the wheel. So we've got our CyrCraft text here. Let's drag that onto the wheel. And right now it's all stretched out. Let me get my head out of the way. So right now it's all stretched out. And we can see that it's there. It's going to display something across the wheel. And it's currently set to half the size of the wheel, which actually works pretty good because now these are like at a sixth of the wheel size, which is pretty good for a piece of text this long. So I'm going to change the height of this image for sure. I probably want this, let's put it to 80 because we're displaying at 80 frames per second. And if it's 80 pixels tall, then it'll flash the logo once a second. I think we can actually go smaller than that because there's so much off time in this image. We can have it flash the image once every half of a second if we set it at 40 pixels tall. There we go. And then the width, I actually, I do want to change the width here. I am going to just quickly make another version of this. And I think instead of leaving it at 800, I'm going to bring it down to 600 because I do like the idea of this kind of doubling around the wheel. But I want to have ample space in between the two instances. So, this should be fine. I'm gonna save as CyrCraft text 2. All right, and then we are gonna come back here, refresh that, throw this on there, and see how it's looking. All right. So that is looking pretty good. I actually am thinking that I want it to display this a little bit longer. As it is, it's only if this is a half of a second for it to repeat this image. I think it's going to be good to cut out even more of the dark area of this, and then stretch out our the height of our letters even more. And in a little bit after we're done setting this up, we'll actually load it on the wheel and see what it looks like, because there's a few parameters you want to think about as well in terms of. I'm interested. I'm actually just going to be doing this partially as an experiment, but I want to play around with what camera settings are going to be the best for displaying these images. And yeah, so let's jump back over here and cut out some of the excess height here of the black area. Let's bring that down to 100, so we're cutting out a third of it. The width is still fine. I'm going to say okay with that. And I think that'll work. I think I like that. All right, so we got that. Get this one displayed on the wheel here. There we go. Okay, so we're getting a little bit closer, and I think I can actually bring the speed down a little bit. There we go. So now this would be pretty good for maybe an upright spin. But if you think about it, and here's the part where let's try to get a little bit of a visual going of what this is going to look like on the wheel. So we've got our wheel in this configuration, say the ground is here, so you're up in like an upright center spin. The wheel is going to be spinning, maybe it's spinning this direction or spinning this direction. Now there's some things to think about there as well. If you are spinning one direction, your letters are going to be in one orientation. And if you're spinning the other direction, your letters are going to be in a reversed orientation. So it'll essentially be mirrored depending on which way you're spinning, which is interesting because the front side of the wheel will display it in one direction, and then the back side of the wheel behind you is going to, from the audience's perspective, is going to be showing a mirrored version of that text. So that's another reason why it's nice to have your lettering, say it's here and here, be displayed on both sides of the wheel at once, because regardless the direction the wheel is spinning, they will have one version that is not mirrored all the time. So, all right. As we are spinning, we're going to have, it's going to say CyrCraft here. Can I write sideways? I can kind of write sideways. So it's going to say CyrCraft in this direction. Maybe that's what you want, maybe it's not. So this is where thinking about your image orientation comes into play. If you want it to say your text written from top to bottom as the thing is spinning, that's great. Or sometimes you're going to want it to spell out your text like, if I can spell, like this as it's spinning. So as the wheel kind of spins and passes this way. I wish I had thought to make a little tiny model of a wheel here, but we'll show it on the big wheel in a moment over there. So as you are spinning this way, you may want the text to kind of appear written out from left to right, or horizontal versus vertical. Let's just say that. So we can change the orientation of this image as well. Over here. All right, so we got our CyrCraft Customs image there. And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. So now we can see a lot of different things have changed here. There's a lot going on. So it is now duplicating. Let's turn on our duplication points. So now our image is only, whereas it was 60 pixels tall, now it's 60 pixels wide because we've flipped the orientation. And so it's duplicating the image once, twice, 3, 4, 5, and a half times now to make it all the way around the wheel. So we're going to want to change the height of this in order to maybe match the wheel a little bit better. And for this size wheel, 81 gets it about 4 times across the wheel. So now, as the wheel spins, we're going to see the CyrCraft logo horizontally if the wheel is in an upright center spin. If you're down in a coin spin, so this is something to think about as you are kind of choreographing your performances. If you want to display text in a certain way when you're in an upright spin, you're going to orient it one way, and if you want to display it horizontally down in a coin spin, then you need to orient it the other way. So yeah, there's some things to think about there, as well as a bunch of stuff you can do in order to get various orientations into the same file. Like maybe you will have this this image here or this text here written right side up, and then make this image twice as wide and have it also be upside down. Let's do that so that as it's duplicated around the wheel, you'll have it in both orientations. And yeah, we can do that real quick here. Let me just change the canvas size. We'll lock it in here and change our width to 1200. Hit OK to that. And then let's duplicate this layer. and drag it over. Actually, I need to flip it over, don't I? Like that, and maybe drag it here, and drag the other one over here. All right, so now we've got it in both orientations. Yeah, let's export that. And now essentially you can imagine that no matter which way up the wheel is, if you can think of the wheel as having a top side and a bottom side if it was laying on the ground, no matter which side is up, you'll be in a coin. You can be in a coin spin. You can have this display, and some of the writing will be in one direction, some will be in the other direction. Unfortunately, there's not currently a way with our software to have the wheel sense its orientation well enough to keep the image always upright. And I say currently because all of the hardware is there to do it, and software stuff is something we're going to be keep improving over a while. But anyways, I've talked long enough now. I think that we've got everything that I really wanted to use to show you guys on this. I'm going to just change this to CyrCraft Text 4 and save it. Let's say okay to that. Sure, we'll flatten it. All right, and we'll bring it into Star Pusher. All right, so do I know what I'm doing here? Where's Star Pusher? Yeah, there it is. All right, so let's drag in this newest one, CyrCraft Text 4, which has both orientations. And yeah, this all looks good. So I'm going to take the settings I like, and I'm going to export them. So I like this one. This is going to, oh, you know what? I need to actually make this. There we go. So now we've got one direction, one the other. No, actually we did want that at 81. Okay, great. I'm going to export this pattern, and I could turn on settings or turn off settings with this. I'm not going to, but I'm going to hit export pattern. Oh, I have to pick an output directory. I'm going to put this into folder 4. We'll put all of our stuff that we just created into folder 4. And let's grab our pink on black lightning. We only want this. It's actually pretty cool with when it's rotated, but we don't want any rotation on this one. We do want it to be, what was it at before? 200 tall. There's 800 wide, 325 wide. So that is cool. But I think 162 was even better. So it kind of does this crazy thing. The two going around the wheel. I like that. All right, let's export this. That should also now be in folder 4. And then let's do the other version. Oh, I overwrote the pink one. We will do this OK pink line. You can kind of see the difference of what it looks like if the pattern has a white background versus a black background. Things will pop more if they have a black background. That's another reason. That's one of the reasons why we also tend to powder coat our LED Cyr wheels black. We'll do another color if you really want it. However, I think it muddies the the clarity of what you're seeing on the wheel once you have a white or a silvery chrome, because the reflections just get to be so much that that it, I think, takes away from the experience of actually seeing the LED patterns on the wheel. I think, maybe it's just me personally, but I think it looks good when the wheel kind of just fades, the wheel kind of just disappears into the background. Most of the time when you're using an LED wheel, you've got a dark background, and so you don't want the wheel to kind of distract from whatever it is you're displaying or trying to call attention to with the LEDs. Anyways, that's a little bit of philosophy on that nobody asked for. I'm going to export this one, and maybe just one of the other CyrCraft versions. We've got the CyrCraft 3. That's gonna, there we go. It's gonna be displayed twice around the wheel, so this is the version that's good for an upright spin, but I want it to go a little bit faster. So that, if we're at a nice kind of like waltzing speed spin, then the amount of time, or the, I don't know, number of degrees of spin around the wheel that that is going to contain this this text will be wide enough that you'll get, you know, as it swings past, you'll get, I don't know, 3 feet wide or so image. I'm going to go at maybe a little bit faster with this. I'll go to 90. And I think that is going to look good on our wheel. So let's export this one again. If I go over to folder 4, here we should be able to see all those. They're in there. So I just have to drag this stuff onto the SD card, and we can, let's see, let me get my other screen set up here. Great. Just drag everything onto the SD card. So let me actually show you what I'm doing here. This is my SD card, the root folder of my SD card. So you can see USB drive G here. Basically, I just dragged everything in. Star Pusher organized everything for us. It put our configuration files and our log files and everything else into the right folders, so that the night sky LED controller board inside the wheel can find everything and you know, act as expected. And so yeah, all I have to do is drag this this entire folder structure onto my SD card, and everything is there. Star Pusher is still in beta, so right now we've got, it's able to sort and organize everything, but we don't have an export button to just push everything to the SD card for us. You could do it right in the Star Pusher by just kind of like dragging stuff to the SD card. But yeah, so there's a bunch of like little tweaks and improvements for Star Pusher to do that, but the export project button or write project to SD card button is coming, so that you don't even ever have to think about opening a folder. I find that with that tends to be one of the biggest points of friction for people to program their wheel, is either anxiety about or not knowing, you know, how the folders are structured, how they should be structured, and named and all that. So we don't want you to ever think about any of that. I'm telling you it now just because I'm kind of nerding out about all this. But yeah, I'm going to load this onto the wheel. And this is the point in our in the live stream. We have to give a little bit of a disclaimer about how we're getting stuff onto the wheel. I can't actually show you. I can tell you there's on an SD card. We're going to put the SD card on the wheel, and then all of our patterns are going to be there. But I can't show you that because in order to be so in the spirit of transparency, I'm going to be honest in telling you I have to be mysterious right now about some of the internals of our wheel until we're ready to announce and unveil all of that in the next few weeks. There's a lot of stuff we can't show yet until it's dialed in and we have some patent stuff in place. So I'm going to actually just disappear from camera right now. I'll keep talking, but I'm going to disappear from camera for a few moments while I load this onto the wheel and get the wheel ready to display stuff. So that said, let me actually grab my SD card out of the computer here. And throw it onto the wheel. All right, so I'm gonna go throw this into the wheel, and then I'll share with you when I'm in just a moment when I'm ready to show you how it all looks. Okay. Yeah, does that? Yeah, there's the shot we want. All right. So we did this this last week. This is one of our older models. Again, because I can't show you the new stuff quite yet. Oh, and there's some clumps of mud from my boots. So this is one of our older models that I'm displaying this on right now because I can't show the new stuff quite yet for another couple weeks, as I kind of explained just a moment ago. But it assembles pretty much the same as, maybe I should show you a little bit how I'm doing this. It assembles pretty much exactly the same as the newer stuff. So I'm going to move. Okay, like that. And this view. Okay, yeah, you can see how I'm doing this now. So a lot of times assembling a wheel like this, I'll just like pick it up, stand it up like this, and just kind of like pop, like bump the top of it a couple times to get it to come together. That's what works for me. Oh, and then no bolts in this thing yet, but you can like, I just set a foot under it like that, and I can like walk it around the room to like lay it where it needs to be for assembly, etc. Even though the bolts are just lying on the floor right there. So, oops, lost my microphone there. All right, sorry for the delay. All right, so we're preparing to show the fruits of this last bit of effort and what those patterns are going to look like on the wheel. So I want to make sure everything is properly kind of aligned here. And then I'm removing these power plugs here. As I pull these out, let me get the last one there. We'll see the wheel light up like so. And let me grab the remote. Also, Another thing that I can't be completely transparent with yet is, so we have some Wi-Fi functionality that I can't show yet until we work out the rest of the hardware stuff, and then I can focus on the Wi-Fi and software stuff. So I'm using our infrared remote. You can control the wheels with either the infrared remote or wirelessly with Wi-Fi. I'm going to show you with this today for the reasons that I just kind of cryptically shared. So let's switch over to folder 4. So folder 4 on this remote is going to be the 4th solid color button in this direction. And I broke it. Oh, did I just discover another bug? Oh dear. Let's actually check something. All right, just a moment while I get onto the right screen again here. Okay, I did the wrong thing. Let me come over here, back to this. All right, I did the wrong thing. I did the thing that I told you that you shouldn't ever have to do. I was actually dragging stuff. I was dragging our images into the wheel directory, like the inside directory of the image, in the wrong way. So there's like some safeguards that we're still, again, with the software, working on building into the software. So like, because we have some images now on the wheel that are formatted as PNGs in this folder that they shouldn't be in, let's delete those out of there. Yes. The wheel is now trying to read an image that's formatted wrong. So sorry about that. I'm going to fix that, and we will continue in just a moment here. So give me just a second to pull this controller back out of the wheel. All right, I guess you can have a little bit of fun watching me pull this back apart while I make you wait. All right, now is where I'm doing the top secret thing where I can't show you any of the internals quite yet. Just need to power this off. Get this SD card out of there. All right, and I think now All right, let's fix this real quick. So I need to load this SD card back into the PC. Delete the offensive files. All right, and oh, it might be nice if I actually show you what I'm doing, huh? Yeah, I'm gonna again give the disclaimer that because it's beta software, there's still a couple bugs or I guess user-friendliness things that are going to be worked out after we finish kind of wrapping up the hardware stuff. We're going to be focusing on kind of finalizing some of these last few things with the software. But what I want to do right now is just make sure that everything is properly placed. We don't have any of the wrong files on there. Okay, I can eject that. Throw it back in the wheel, and in just a moment, we'll be able to continue. So, just a moment. All right, so let's try this one more time. I've removed the files that I kind of mistakenly threw on there. Now we should be able to take a look at the other the images that we spent the first chunk of this creating. Okay, good. And of course now there's an issue with our overhead view. Let's see if I can fix that real quick. There it is. Okay. All right, so let's try it again. Folder 4. It did not like that. I wonder if there's another setting that I put in there that I'm forgetting, or maybe I just didn't, maybe I didn't actually remove the files that I thought I removed. All right, we will get this. Apologies, but we will get this very shortly. So we got the wheel kind of twisted like a potato chip right now, and it's still lighting up nicely. That's kind of cool. So let me pull this section out. I'm sure that there's something stupid that I'm forgetting because I'm live streaming and trying to narrate rather than think through what my own product is doing. So give me a moment here while I make sure that I've got this properly configured. There it is. Okay, so let me switch cameras so I can show you what's going on here. Another really simple yet annoying bug. Let's get this out of the way. Actually, we will use this monitor. I'll just drag this over here. All right, so there's another bug in our software. It, for whatever reason, changed the file name to having 2 dots before the file extension. And that's why we make beta software and we test a bunch of stuff. I'm not exactly sure why. I think, actually I do know exactly why. It's because when I have it converting from another image type to a bitmap image, a .bmp file, it's currently set up where if you bring in a BMP file and you make changes and you export it, it just cuts off the BMP off the end, renames it, and it just cuts off the last 3. What am I trying to say? So I'm saying this wrong, completely backwards. If I bring in like a JPEG or a PNG, it just cuts off everything after the dot, and then it adds on .bmp, and we need to not add on the dot. Very stupid, very quick fix. Won't be there in any version of this that you guys can download. Although you'll probably find all kinds of stuff that we can improve because we haven't released this to anybody yet. So I'm sure we'll get a lot of this stuff fixed before the software goes out, and we'll probably find more stuff with your help. So okay, so now it should be ready to actually play these files and not get confused like it just did a couple times. So I'm going to just eject this, throw it back into the wheel for a 3rd time, and we should be able to look at these patterns that we created, which are oh so pretty. And need this. All right. Okay, third time is the charm, right? And of course now I have trouble assembling it. Seriously? I just assembled this like 3 times. And now it wants to give me trouble. Another thing besides standing it up is just kind of like wiggling it like that. And it's going to be glitchy until it's all together. Okay, there it is. And if that didn't fix it, if deleting that extra dot out of the file name didn't fix it, I'm going to be done for the day. I'm not going to think about doing anything with Cyr Wheels again for another few hours. Moment of truth, here goes. Are you serious? What did I do? No. Okay, guys. Well, this is what I get for trying to do a live stream with a product that's not finished. Let's make sure I can even change files at all. I can change files within the same folder. I can place stuff out of folder 1 just fine. I know I said I was going to kind of give up if it didn't work a third time, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to... Yeah, it just freezes when it goes to load the next folder. What is up with that? All right. Third time is not the charm. I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to throw everything into folder 1 because now I feel like it's... The issue is that it doesn't want to play out of folders that are not folder 1, or that maybe it doesn't know what to do when switching between folder 1 that has several files and other folders that may have 0 files, and as it skips, which is never a problem in the past, but we have been making a lot of changes. Let's see. Okay, we're just going to take our files from folder 4. We're going to throw them into folder 1. And hell, we'll throw them into folder 2 as well. Which already had stuff We'll throw them into folder 3. I just realized what it is. I named these manually, so there's another bug to fix. I named these manually, and it did not replace spaces. Come on. Stop doing that. Let me type. It did not replace spaces with underscores. And I believe that our LED controller does not know how to parse a space. So now there are no spaces in our file name, only underscores. All right. So now these should play. I'm going to leave them in folder 1, but I'm also going to put them in folder 3. Prefixed with a 3 so that it's a different name. And in folder. We don't care about folder 4. Okay, so now they're all in folder 3. With the proper naming convention, let's go try it. Throw this onto the wheel. Man, for anybody still watching this, I appreciate your patience. This has been a time. Okay. Switch to the proper view. There we go. Oh. I put the internals of the wheel in backwards. which, as you can imagine, will not help the wheel actually turn on. Okay. Okay. Make sure we can call up patterns properly. Folder 1 patterns are fine. Let's try folder 2. Folder 2 patterns are fine. Folder 3. Huh. All right, we got some other problem. I am wondering, I think I know what it is. Huh. The naming convention stuff didn't solve it. So man, I can't like end this live stream. I'm burnt out and I'm exhausted, but I can't end this live stream without like at least showing the thing working. And I've got a couple more theories on what's going on. My biggest one right now is that when I said you don't have to care about what pattern formats you're bringing into Star Pusher, I think that there actually is an issue if you are bringing in a 32-bit PNG image. That's the only thing that I don't remember specifically checking right now. So we're gonna just export these patterns manually in the right format and see if that's it. If that is it, then we need to add a line to our code to check for that and format it properly. So it may be that The current difficulties I'm having are more entertaining than the whole rest of this video. If you agree with that, give a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can watch future train wrecks. Where are we? Yeah, so if you are entertained by my consistent series of failure today, then please hit the like and subscribe button and notification bell in order to be alerted when I'm ready to make a fool of myself again. All right, let me throw this on the computer, and I think if this last thing that I want to test does not work, then I've got to dive deep into some software, which I'm not prepared to do on a live stream. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to go back to my image editor, and I'm going to save this manually into the proper format. I don't want to save it there. I'm going to throw it on the desktop so I don't accidentally put anything with the wrong format into my project here. Man, you know, there might be another issue that I had where you can't lead the file name with a number, which is something that I did here. There's, ooh, this is a good one. This is going to be a good debug session at some point here, but let's first see if we can get them to play when I know that they're manually formatted the way they're supposed to be. So I'm on the desktop here. We got all these original PNG images that I saved. I'm going to throw these into another folder so I don't confuse them. Okay, pink on black lightning, bitmap, save 24-bit. So now we know for sure this pattern is in the right format. Let me get into my desktop folder here. Pink on black lightning, saved at 3:30 p.m. Is here, so that's good. All right, and our other image is our CyrCraft Customs image. I'm going to let's actually just get a simpler version of this. And go back a few spaces in the history of the project. All right, save that as a bitmap onto the desktop. It's going to be CyrCraft text 5. Save 24-bit. Okay. So both of these were manually saved as the proper format. All right. What I want to do next is, in my pattern visualizer, I want to just pull those right from the desktop. Pink on black lightning, great. I want to export them Not into folder 4 this time. We'll go to folder 5 because we haven't used that. Select that. Okay. Can I get both of them? Yes. All right. This should export that into folder 5 and export that into folder 5. And then we'll go grab them from folder 5. Where is it? Okay, so there they are in folder 5, formatted first manually, the way that we want them, and then through Star Pusher. So our folder 5 is going to contain files from Star Pusher, and I'm going to take the manually formatted ones, which aren't at the right height and width, but they're manually formatted to the right file type, and file encoding, and bit depth. I'm going to throw those in. So that'll be in folder 6 of our USB drive. First, these ones are going to get copied into folder 5 of our USB drive. And just for safe measure, make sure I don't have any spaces in the file names, which I think that we changed it to allow spaces in file names, but I'm not remembering because a lot of this was before or early in the pandemic that we started working on a lot of this. All right, so folder 5 has the files that were output by Star Pusher. And folder 6 is going to have the files from our desktop, which are here. So I'm going to call these manual. Okay, cool. So now, everybody dropped out of the stream 5 minutes ago when I started having issues with this here. All right, so let me just see if we can get to the end here. Get to the end of this this adventure that we're on. All right, so folder 6 has the manually formatted files. Folder 5 has Star Pusher formatted, which still have 2 dots, which also I believe that shouldn't matter, but okay, great. So folder 5 is the chancy folder that may not work depending on what Star Pusher is doing. Folder 6 should definitely work. Let me eject. Okay. Get this back into the wheel. And if this doesn't work this time, I need to be done for today. I'm pretty burnt out, and I'm probably, it may be a bug that I've not discovered yet in Star Pusher, but at this point, I'm burnt out enough that I might just be completely overlooking something really, really dumb. Let's go find out. All right, so fifth time is a charm, right? Let me make sure I've got my remote here. Apparently I don't. Oh, there it is, okay. Okay, so folder 5 has possibly questionable files on it. Folder 6 has files that have been manually formatted in the right way. So everything's working in folder 1. Go to folder 2, everything's working in folder 2. Go to folder 6. There we go. We have success. Oh, I did not pattern this. I did not pattern this to like do the thing I said very first in the beginning, in the beginning of the video. So this is now covering more than half the wheel because I did not resize it in my haste to just do this debugging experience. But this next one I believe is, yeah. No, or it is not. Yeah, I think in my haste oh no, because this is folder 5 where I didn't actually resize them with Star Pusher. So let's actually go to folder 6, or sorry, this is folder 6. If I go to folder 5, we should have the stuff we did in Star Pusher, which should work fine. So go into folder 5 now. There we go. Now it's formatted properly. This is what I expected to see. That should be CyrCraft text. We're going to pick the wheel up and spin it around a little bit after I get some bolts in here. And there's our pink lightning on black. Yeah. Cool. So let me put some bolts in this, and I'll pick it up and spin it, and we can see what the CyrCraft logo looks like in motion here. Whew. You know, probably what I did here that caused all this headache today is I think that I'm actually using an older version of our beta. I think that we might have already addressed all of these file naming and file formatting issues. I mean, we definitely did address all the file naming and file formatting issues. And so I may have a newer version of the software that I'm just on the wrong, I just pulled the wrong commit. Anyway. In fact, now that I think about it, I'm almost sure that that's what happened, because I also had a version that I thought was the latest version that I sent to somebody to do some beta testing with. And I think that they were having similar issues. I don't know that we got back to that. So for next week's stream, I'm gonna make sure I have the newest version of our software installed. All right, let's get back to the CyrCraft. And get a better angle for you here. Hopefully we can get this all in the right shot here. Okay, so we got a bunch of lights on here, which is not great for trying to show POV images, but we're going to try anyway. And I've got a lot of stuff in the way here as well. All right, so that's what we get with lots of lights on. Let's turn some lights off and see what changes. Where is the switch on this one? All right, now we got a bit less light. Let's see if we can see persistence of vision effects a little bit better, like that. All right, and so what we're seeing here is we're not really getting a persistence of vision effect from this image, and it's probably because I've actually got it flashing by too fast. I need to increase the amount of time that the image is displayed. And there's two ways to do that. I could do that by lowering the frame rate, or I could do that by increasing the height of the image. And this is something I would have liked to actually get to in the first, within the first hour of today's live stream. So I'm going to say that for today, we've had a spectacular failure, and I'm pretty burnt out, and I don't want to take this apart again, load stuff again, and load back on it. So I'm going to end the live stream for today. Next week, I will be back with the latest version of the Star Pusher software, and we will play more with setting up persistence of vision, because one of the things I really wanted to do on today's live stream is get to the point where we can dial in camera settings so that you can see through the camera what I'm seeing with my eyes here. And so, yeah, that's what we'll do for next week. It'll be just more of this, and hopefully less of the other part of this that took the last 45 minutes. So yeah, let me shut this down. And I'm gonna go home and cry now. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll be doing more of these, regardless of this stuff coming up. I am gonna stress again that this is pre-release. This is beta software, and I was on the wrong version of the software. And this is not the final hardware of the wheel, so it's gonna be fun, I guess, seeing the journey from where I'm at right now, kind of running around with all of these mistakes and minor train wrecks and stuff, to where we're going to be once I'm actually showing you the stuff we're shipping. So thanks, and see you soon.